Hey folks, Dan the Wolfman here, and welcome to part 2 is how much does recoil affect the effectiveness in your revolver? AKA the downside of Magnum or hot ammo redo. Lucky gun I did it like 9 years ago. So we already did it with the Taurus 856 Ultralight aluminum frame. Now we're going up to the small frame medium weight revolver 3-inch 357 Magnum Rossi RP63. I put the rubber grips back on. I love the gray lock grips that go on Beast. With 38 plus speeds, fine. With hot 357, no bueno, and I know it would mess me up as a defensive carry. That's part of this, is grips and rubber weight of the revolver versus recoil. It's going to end up being really long. We'll see. I might use 2 to 4 different 38 loads and probably 5 different 357 loads, going up in how much I think they're going to recoil. The 856 Ultralight Part 1 aluminum frame we did at 5 yards. This will be at 7 yards. There may or may not be a Part 3 where I go through my 25 round CCW pistol and revolver test. That's realistic stuff. All the stuff you need. 7 stages from 2 to 15 yards. With the Rossi with 4 different loads, 2 38 loads, 2 357 loads. But we're going to do a bunch of stuff, including hot, expensive hollow points as well. So here we go. We'll start with Wadcutters, the humble Precision 1 copper-plated Wadcutters. Maybe good for self-defense. Look at my ballistics test on that. Subscribe. Look at my Paul Harrell Tribute playlist. Always like, comment, hit the notification bell, please, because otherwise you ain't going to get two-way stuff. Here's Beast. Beast I like a lot. Really look great with the lock grips, but for 357, you're going to want the rubber. It's only 27 ounces. So in a revolver like this, a Smith & Wesson 640, Kimber K6S, maybe someday Diamondback will keep the world and send me their SDR in something in that 20 to 30 ounce frame, especially if it's one of the less J frames. You don't lose 357. Something like this is a lot different than a 35 to 38 ounce GP100, Taurus 692, 686 plus full size revolver. So this is still a small frame. So here we go with the Wadcutters. And I love it in a 856 Defender holster from Harry's Holsters. Excellent holsters from them. I did have to put a spacer to widen it just a smidge because it's slightly bigger than an 856, but in 357. If it has an external hammer in a safe direction, slightly pull the hammer and do your spin to make sure all the primers, nothing's unseated. That would make your revolver not revolve in a defensive gun use before carry, obviously in a safe direction there. I do have an AmeriGlow front sight on it because the person I used to go to said it wouldn't fit the Access, which I much prefer. And other people online have said they've gotten the Access dot for the Taurus to fit on the RP63s. Unfortunately, with this, higher grain weight ammo does hit high, so keep that in mind. Okay. Okay, 267, much better if the hits are halfway decent. So that was more realistic at the time with a low recoiling full Wadcutter, which gets 100% value in tissue crush. Look at the other video that explains that more. 179, that's slow. I should be under 175 for sure, and much better at 1.5 to first hit. 40 split, 48 split. So steel revolver, we were never better than like 50-51 in the aluminum frame 16-17 ounce Taurus 856 with the wooden grips. Here with the rubber grips under 27 ounce RP63, but steel frame, the Wadcutter splits went down to 40 and 48. So ammo choice selection isn't only about terminal ballistics. I'm a terminal ballistics nerd, but also about, especially in revolvers, the recoil and grain weight and pressure and stuff versus the weight of the revolver. And here's our hits. These nice clean holes in paper. Does the same thing to flesh. A plus box, we'll call that 5 points there. We'll call that 4 points there. We'll also call 4 points. So a 5 and 2 4s for the full Wadcutters from Precision 1, copper plated. So the Wadcutter's got 13 points, giving a 543 point value. 13 points and 2.67. Now I try the PPU 130 grain FMJ. A little more recoil, a little more blast. 278, 1.86 the first hit. With autos, I'm pretty much always better than 175 to 1.5. Slower with the revolver from Appendix, 186, 229, 278. So 43 and 49 split, slightly higher splits. And a lower score, 5, 4 down in the lung, and 3. So all lung shots, at least I got both sides of lungs. So only 12 points and longer, 278, and just a slight recoil increase even in a steel frame revolver. Next up, Blazer Aluminum 158 plus P. Good training round, but it's not like heavy recoil. It's just where the seating depth is, I think. Let's see if this makes a big difference or not. Okay, 256. Again, I don't think it's very hot because my splits were 44 and 50. 256. Let's check the hits. So only 256 that time, but maybe I'm getting better at drawing, getting used to drawing a revolver versus a pistol from Appendix. AOWB, actually. Appendix outside the waistband, outside the jeans, more comfortable. Unless you're going to like a bar that you might get in a fight in, then put it under the jeans maybe. 162, so it was faster draw. And I think I forgot 13 points. 1 in the heart, 5 points, 4.4 point in the lungs. So 13 points, 256 with the Blazer 158 plus P. All right, next up is Real 158 plus P, the FBI load 38G from Federal. I have ballistic tested this from the S2-inch and 3-inch. Would I feel okay with this in a 3-inch leaving here today to go to dinner? Yes. Would I put it in a 2-inch? It's not my choice for less than 3 inches. It's my choice for 4 inches. It actually is. 3 inches, okay, but there's probably better nowadays. All right, let's see about real recoil with the FBI load. Here we go. Amazingly, kind of stout recoil, even with the rubber grips. Quite a bit of blast, even from a 3-inch. From a 1 7/8 inch barrel, this would not be my choice for a lot of reasons. Okay, so I had slower draw this time, 173 to first shot, 47 and 52 split. Yeah, that's really long with pistols. Pistols, you want anywhere between a 23 and a 33, depending on the pistol and what you're doing and the distance. 23 to 33 splits, you probably can't process in actual defensive gun use. I'm not talking competition faster than even 23 is fast. It'd be a 5-yard fast 5 kind of thing. 7, 10, 12 yards movement cover, good guys, bad guys, backdrop, foreground. 33 splits might even be better in a defensive gun use. Revolvers are mechanically slower unless your name's Jerry Mikulik. 47 split, 52 split isn't bad, and the hits are not bad. FBI load, 2 in the heart. We had 3 with the 8.56. 2 in the heart and 1 in the lungs gives us, I lied, 14 points. I wrote it down wrong. 14 points, which is the most points so far with the FBI load. Maybe more recoil makes me concentrate more and grip the revolver stronger. So 14 points in just 272. Draw to 3 shots. Only 1 bad guy. Draw at 7 yards though. 8.56 was at 5 yards. 272, 14 points with the FBI load. Not bad. Now, baby, it's time to step it up to various 5 different types of 357 Magnum rounds. All right, let's start off with some Magnum power, baby. Is it worth it? Is a Magnum power worth it in your Magnum Carry Revolver? If I'm carrying a GP100, 6 Taurus 692, 686 plus Combat 66, something like that, sure, baby. What about in the smaller, lighter revolvers? Not the 13-ounce stuff, it's not worth it. The 27-ounce, 20 to 30-ounce revolvers, maybe. Steel frame. Mild to wild, we got 4 different types, 125 grain, and a mid or mild 158 grain. So starting out with the Atlanta Arms, 125 grain. It's actually an XTP hollow point, I believe. Gun Sam tested it, actually expanded a bit, but was pretty slow, only like 1,200 something feet per second, I believe, from a 4-inch. So this is pretty low recoiling. I'm a pussy. I haven't shot 357 Magnum in a while. It seems like a lot. Even with the lowest recoiling Magnum, it's not off to a good start. In the long Atlanta arms, 4 points. Past the 3 into the 0 or the 1 zone. To me, that's a 0. So that is not good. Only 8 points with our first Magnum. Not good. Not good. 280. I think it was a slower draw. Yeah, 1.81 the first shot. That shouldn't have been. 51 split, 48 split. So the splits still not much longer on our splits. A little bit. 51, 48, not bad. But it doesn't matter how fast you are if you miss someone and get a lawsuit. I didn't. But if it's not combat effective, it's still a pistol. It's not a rifle. Next up, Atlanta Arms, 125 grain. It says 1375 feet per second on the box. Is that from a 4-inch or a 6-inch? It's probably from a 6-inch. Usually right from a 4-inch, a real 4-inch, 125 grain velocity, hot, old school. Remington, a federal load should be 1425 to 1465 feet per second. So still probably medium, but this, depending on the recoil, this hopefully is a good training round to simulate mid-power Magnums we'll talk about in a minute. Here we go. The recoil was mid, not mild, but medium. Little sting. It'd be too much with wood grips. But it was quite a bit of flash. You know, that wasn't bad under a flat point. This would probably make pretty good animal defense, wood defense walking round. Maybe I'll send some to Gun Sam to test, or maybe eventually I can do more water jug testing. Anyway, we got 2 perfect hits in the heart with the here and here with the precision 1, and then 1 there in the lung. So we got 5, 10, 14 points in 291. And the only reason it was really slower is that was a shit draw. I'm trying to figure out which angle I want for this grip. 187 the first shot, so that's an extra 0.12 that is on being shitty. 291, but only 51, 53 splits. That's totally under 55s, like an acceptable splits for a defensive revolver, I think, in my opinion. Though it's still a lot slower than auto. 291, we're still under the 3 seconds to get 3 combat effective hits on a target at 7 yards. Next up is Fiocchi Defense Dynamics 125 grain. I compared this to the Federal. Please look at that Ballistics Testing, my Paul Harrell tribute playlist, and I bought it with my own money. So I'd really appreciate like, sub, notification, comments always. Please help me out, or I won't be continuing this much longer. Okay, here we go, and I'm doing hands relaxed for all this today. Apparently, I don't cloverleaf. Sometimes I go from fence, like de-escalating, but here we go. Fiocchi Defense Dynamics. About the same as the Precision 1. Not bad. 277 overall. Let's check the hits. Well, all 3 in the A+ box. Fiocchi Defense Dynamics there. 1 in the heart, 1 a little high, but still A+ box. Same thing here. Line breaks count. So that would nick the spine, the esophagus, and they're in the lung, and they're in the heart, but 15 points. Only 1 so far. And the time was not that bad. Alright guys, next up is the PPU 158 grain. I live in the South, so I don't carry it with 158 grain. They tend to penetrate more, other than maybe Federal's old load you can't get anymore, which I got maybe 3 of. They tend to penetrate farther. They expand moderately to like 51 to 53, and they go really, really deep. Now, if you need both like human biped and 4-legged defense, 158s are good, including this. Gun Sam tested it. So if you needed both, like you were in Anchorage or something, I don't know, Minnesota, something, like you kind of needed both, the PPU round might be good. Let's see how it recoils. A lot more recoil. That seemed pretty spicy. I forget what the velocity was on Gun Sam, and I wouldn't be surprised if these all hit high. 171 the first shot, 53 split, 67 split. That's over 60 is no good. That last split, that's too much recoil in this. And the full-size revolvers, over 30-ounce revolvers, it'd be one thing, a little too much. It could be done if you needed both, but it's a lot. And surprisingly, that did well. The PP 158 grain, one here, 5 points in the A+ box, and 4 points there in the right lung, and 4 points somewhere here, right there, in the right lung. So there, not bad. Recoil was a little too much for me. Could be done if I was up north of it. And last but not least, the one-shot stop man-stopping power 357 Magnum 125 grain semi-jacketed hollow point federal load. I believe the projectile is the same as the old B load. It's just slightly less velocity, which might actually help. Though I got the same exact penetration depth from water jugs, cloth-covered water jugs correlated to 4-layer organic gel from the FBI. So make sure you check out the 357 Magnum. Test this versus the Fiocchi. Not sure about the recoil though. Pretty hot stuff. Pretty hot stuff. Let's find out. All right, let's finish up with the hot stuff and see how it goes. Here we go. Ooh, that's a lot, baby. I want that terminal ballistics. But that was a lot. I don't know if we got it. It registered nothing. Oh, wait, okay, wait a minute. About 292, 290, 288. Somewhere in the 288 to 292. 162 the first shot. 62 split, 68 split. It made me over on both of them over the 60 split. I don't love that. So 62 and 66 or 68 splits. It wasn't that bad. It was still under the 3 seconds we need, 2.9. But that's because I had a fast draw, 162 to first shot. Let's look at her shot placement now. Not the best. We got one there, maybe the first one, probably the first one. Breaking the line, almost hitting the heart, hitting some plumbing, hopefully a little fast leaking. There, up there in a 4. And the long in here, barely in the 3. So only 12 points in 290. It did slow us down, but I had a quicker draw. So still under the 3 second acceptability. However, I'm not sure if the recoil, the slower split times, which affect the accuracy of the hits, that's not great. Even with the 357 Magnum, all you people out there that thinks it is, it might psychologically stop them because I have a higher nerve cessation from EKE. But that's my theory, and that's a very, very debatable. But on a committed attacker, this might do nothing. That's even outside the lung. Okay. So is it worth it? Let's look at our results. Here's our results. Our fastest was a 256 with the Blazer, but it's plus P, but not really. 256. Our slowest looks like a 291. So we're in 256 to 291. Not dramatic until we got to the finals. To me, that split time's over 60. We wanted in that 50 to 53-ish. The split time's too long on the Federal. I forget what it was on the PPU. Going out of the Fiocchi defense dynamics, the terminal ballistics wasn't nearly as good, but maybe I should be loading with that instead of the Federal. That's a debate. So, does recoil affect your effectiveness? Well, in shot placement, it seems to. The Wadcutters got 13 points, FMJ 12 points, 158 plus Blazer 13 points, FBI load 14 points, 272. That's something to consider. The Atlanta Arms, I think that's a bad run had we redone it. Only 8 points, 280. Precision 1, 14 points, 291. Federal Fiocchi Defense Dynamics, 125 grain, 15 points. I think we were under 3 seconds. Replay it, timey, let me know below. PPU, 158 grain, 13 points, 291. Federal, 125 grain, 12 points, 290. So in 3 of the 438 loads, we had 13 points or better. 3 of them. 13, 13, 14. In the 5 357 Magnum loads, we had a 13 point with a PPU 158. We had Precision 1 14 points in 291, and with Fiocchi Defense Dynamics 15 points, I believe, in under 3 seconds. It sure felt like it. Let me know. So, I'm a big, strong guy. 3-inch medium weight revolvers. So we're talking 21 ounce Taurus 605 Defender. That'd be better. 357 is a lot better than a 3-inch and a 2-inch barrel. 2-inch, I don't think heavy recoil is worth it on most of the rounds. Let me do that. On those 20 to 38 ounce revolvers, there's not a lot of them. K6S, 3-inch, you know. SDR 3-inch, I'd love to get one. I'd probably prefer a 9mm and have both cylinders. That would be awesome. They need to do that. An SDR 3-inch black Cerakote with both the 357 and a 9mm. Probably carry it with a 9mm or a mid-powered 357. The Rossies, I love them. I've been successful 2 out of 2 so far. Go to Revolver. Go to Revolver. You could get the 605 Defender, but you just lose a shot. It probably has longer durability, though, the way the ratchets are in the cylinder to squeeze that 6 round. So durability-wise, you might be better, but then you're down to 5 shots, and I don't love that. So what we're saying is, I think a mid to warm instead of hot. Warm instead of hot on a 357 Magnum might be the way to go. Warm here would be the Fiocchi Defense Dynamics based on recoil feel, not chrono. And the Precision 1. I think the Precision 1, I believe they have an XTP load. The other copper load, I've seen it not expand in everything I can look up. The if I think they have an XTP load at like 20 more feet per second, like 195 instead of 1395 instead of 1385 or whatever it is. If they have a 125 grain XTP load Precision 1, stock up on that bad boy. That's a good load. Defense Dynamics, pretty good load. Probably better in a 4-inch. I'd like to see it. In my testing, uneven expansion. One of them, I believe, had jacket separation. Look at the video. The best loads for these medium revolvers, under 20 ounces, those little J-frames, not a 640, the aluminum, titanium, scanimanium. I'm a good shooter. I doubt it's worth it. Don't load it with 357. If you do load it with 357, go with a mild recoiler, being critical defense, Golden Saber, but look at Roy Harrell's video, the Paul Harrell channel recently did it. It did the 9 and the 38 and the 357. Neither did great, Golden Saber, and that's a 2.125 inch barrel versus 1 7/8 inch. Critical defense, Golden Saber, and the new one that's probably flash but lower recoil is the COVERTX. I'd like to see more ballistics testing, especially for a 3-inch like mid-size on the COVERTX. I might buy some if I ever find some. Fiocchi COVERTX. The terminal ballistics, that bolt design seems better than the Defense Dynamics. Probably gives me the same recoil. I'm going to go with that Precision 1. If they have a 50-round box of the XTP, and I'm not sure of it. I looked at it a month ago. 125 grain XTP, not 158. For a 3-inch barrel, still going to expand moderately to like 52, 51 to 53. Go a little maybe deeper than you want. Hopefully it bloops out the back of a bad guy if you live in the city. Still deep enough for dog, bobcat defense probably, like mountain lions. 125 grain XTP. If that Precision 1 load, that seems good, man. That's good training round. I would carry with that. As long as all the primers are reliable, I would carry with that. The COVERTX is probably what I should pick up. I think it's better than the critical defense and better than the Golden Saber. Probably from a 3-inch, definitely from a 4-inch, I think, from what I've seen. So you need a mild 357. I think the Federal load's too much. I have the really hot stuff. I think I should relegate that now to like the 692 GP100. Even though I was still under 3 seconds, it's doable. And if it was a contact wound, boy baby, or even they're going to get the blast, the flashbang effect. People are starting to believe, at least at nighttime, you're going to get a blast though and feel it at 3 yards. Psychologically, that's going to stop bad guys. Even the terminal ballistics, the tearing in those first few inches adds to blood loss for sure. Even if it doesn't necessarily, in organic gel, hunters will tell you that velocity does matter probably. Rubber back on this. So my nice Rossi Beauty with the wooden grips from Custom Wolf Grips or Premium Grips, that one's now a 38 gun probably, even though it's really accurate, more accurate than this. So there you guys go. Please like, share, subscribe, get down there in the comments, hit the notification bell. A lot of you are not subscribed. You watch the videos, at least if you're a Revolver lover. You go on my Paul Harrell tribute playlist and look at all their Revolver stuff, and you don't comment, you probably don't like, you're definitely not subscribed, and you didn't hit the notification bell. Please help me out. Please be a good person. And anyway, guys, I think I answered some questions more in depth than the only one other video on it out there. So hope you enjoyed it. Kaboom.